All right, Stay With Me. That's from The Faces here on Q1043's Out of the Box. This is Jonathan Clarke, and joining me live on the phone from The Faces and Small Faces and a million other bands, it's the legendary keyboardist Ian McLagan. Welcome, man.
Thank you, Jonathan. Good to speak to you. How you doing?
I'm doing good, and thanks for joining us tonight. Now, and that song is such a rocker. It sounds like when you recorded it, you guys were really having fun. I mean, do you remember where you recorded that song and how it all went down?
Yeah, in the studios. In fact, a lot of people have said, wow, what did you do to get that wallet? I said, I played it, and Glyn Johns got the sound.
Well, the Glyn Johns, he was the producer at that point, or the engineer?
Yeah, and engineer. You know, he would walk in the studio and listen to your instrument, and he might tweak the amp a little bit, try and replicate that sound. You know, a lot of people, they don't go into the studio. They sort of tweak and fiddle around with the desk to get sound, but the sound's already there. You know what I mean? You try and get a really good sound for yourself, because it makes you want to play. And he was very aware of that.
You were there back in, I guess I'll call it swinging London, a great musical time in the 60s. And for our listeners that do not know the history of you and the Small Faces and Faces, I should mention that you did chronicle all of this in a book called All the Rage, which I got to get a copy of. I can't find it anywhere, but I want to get a copy.
The website is Max Pages, MACSPAGES.com.
And you can get the book there, huh?
Yeah, or if you can Google me at Ian McLagan, you spell it wrong, you'll find me. You'll find the official site, and the official site will lead you to my site.
Well, the brief history of your career, and I don't mean to demean it because it's a long one. It's 1965. You joined a group with Steve Marriott, Ronnie Lane, Kenny Jones, and yourself called the Small Faces. Had a bunch of hits. Then Steve Marriott quit to join Humble Pie in 1969. Then Rod Stewart and Ronnie Wood from the Jeff Beck Group joined the rest of you to form the Faces. How am I doing so far?
Yeah, that's very good. It's just exactly how it went.
And big hits, too, including the one I just played, Stay With Me. And then Rod Stewart quits to go solo in 75, and you start playing keyboards with everybody, like the Stones, Bruce Springsteen, Jackson Browne, Bob Dylan, Bonnie Raitt, Melissa Etheridge. And now you've made Austin, Texas home. How long have you been there in Austin?
I've been here 13 years now.
13 years.
In fact, long enough to be inducted into the Texas Hall of Fame, which is a great honor and thrill. Austin is full of wonderful people, not just musicians, but people really, every week I play here, someone will come up to me from the audience and say, you know, we're so glad you're here. And I say, you know what? You have no idea how happy I am to be here. It's a very nurturing city. People care, you know.
Yeah, and well, that's the thing about. I mean, when people say Austin, Texas, I don't think the capital of Texas. I think 6th Street with so many bars and live music places that it's virtually impossible to go to all of them in one night.
Oh yeah, I mean there really is. And during South by Southwest, which is held every March, which is a huge festival, there's something like 1,200 bands playing, and only in 3 days, really, the center of the festival, 3 days. So, you know, you divide 1,200 by, I suppose it's 400 bands a night. We play every night, so it's more bands playing each night than that.
Well, you've made Austin, Texas home for quite a while, and you put out some solo albums, including 2006 Extra Live, and the one I'm looking at right now, Spiritual Boy. It's an appreciation of Ronnie Lane. Talk about that one.
I'm proud of that record. Well, I was actually cutting our next record, which is going to come out August or September, called Never Say Never, and I was close to finishing that in February last year, and I suddenly realized if I was ever going to do a tribute album to Ronnie, then it should come out on his 60th birthday, which was April the 1st, 2006. And this is February the 15th, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I better get going. I put my record to one side, and we started cutting. I mean, we used to play several of his songs anyway.
Right.
So I had Sorry and You're So Rude, which he and I wrote together. And a few others, and so we just started recording, and we got it done, and it was out right on his birthday. What would have been his 60th. So yeah, I'm real pleased with it, and it's got some nice reviews, and people, you know, the thing is, it was a labor of love, you know, I think it comes through. trouble is, this next track, when I went back to it, I thought, well, that song is nowhere near good enough, so I'd dump it, and I'd write a couple more, and I'd recut some of the tracks. And so now I'm a little worried about this one, because I may wait until I get a few more songs, so I want it to be as good as it possibly could be, because I think it might be compared with his, you know.
And I know that you played some great keyboards on the Rolling Stones' Miss You track, and they actually, you played with them in Austin when they played there, what, like last fall or something like that?
Yeah, I think it was October or September, I'm not sure. No, it was, might have been December, actually. Yeah, we opened the show for them. It was brilliant to turn around and see Charlie, Keith, and Woody watching us. Well,
you're going to be live at B.B. King's July 6th, and I'll take the first two callers right now on the toll-free listener line, 1-888-872-1043, for your free tickets. And if you can't get through on the phones, go to Q1043.com, keywords out of the box. You can win there, too. It is Jonathan Clarke live on the phone with Ian McLagan from the Small Faces of Faces, and now the Bump Band. With your shows, what's the set list like in your shows these days? Are you playing a lot of the early stuff combined with the new stuff, or...
Well, yeah, I do stuff from Troublemaker, Bump in the Night, Rise and Shine, Best of British. These are all my albums. And Spiritual Boy, of course. And we always honour Ronnie. We always sing his songs anyway, whether we cut the album or not. And then we have the new album, Never Say Never, and we're doing 4 or 5 of those as well. Plus we do a couple of Small Faces, couple of Faces. It's I either wrote them or played on them.
Well, I know you probably keep in touch with Keith and Ronnie. I read somewhere, I guess the other day, that Keith Richards is now teasing Ronnie for quitting drinking.
Yeah, that's kind of a long story. I wish he'd leave Ronnie alone. Ronnie's doing great, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's like the last thing you should do. The guy's trying to quit, and, you know.
Yeah, Keith sent him an email, or rather a fax, the day a couple of years ago when he started to quit. He said, nobody likes a quitter. It's the wrong attitude.
Well, how about Rod Stewart? Do you keep in touch with Rod? I mean, what do you think about...
I haven't spoke to him for a while, but I got word just recently that he is serious about doing a Faces tour. I hope it's true.
Wow, that would be amazing.
It would be very amazing.
Quite a change from...
Mind you, he said it before, but it sounds like he means it this time, and if he does, I'm in.
Well, maybe the time...
And so's Kenny.
Yeah, well, maybe the timing's right, because he's got these cover albums he's done. He just got married, and, maybe the time is right.
Maybe he wants to rock out.
Absolutely. Well, hey, I got to ask you, what about Paul McCartney's new album? What do you think?
You know, I really like it. It's back to... he's back on form. I've heard about 4 or 5 tracks. I really like it.
And you play this awesome Hammond B3 organ on Rod Stewart's Maggie May, and you wear it well. And also on one of the...
playing the same B3.
Yeah, well, that's great, and they sound fantastic. And also on one of the Small Faces' biggest hits, Itchy-Coo Park. Talk about your memories of where and when you recorded that song.
Well, that was Olympic again, and Glyn Johns was engineering. It's funny, I asked him a few years ago whether he remembered anything about those sessions, and he said, Small Faces, Who, Faces, Stones, blah, blah. He said it was all the same studio. I was sitting at the same desk looking at musicians change. It's all like one long session.
That's quite a track record for one studio.
Oh, but I'm forgetting other names. I mean, he recorded everybody. I mean, he was so great. Well, he still is great. Yeah, he was brilliant. He's a fantastic producer and engineer. I mean, he did it all.
It's Ian McLagan from the Small Faces and his Bump Band coming to B.B. King's July 6th. Ian, we'll see you at the show, and thank you so much for calling in tonight. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, Jonathan. Have a great one. I look forward to seeing you.